Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be giving you some information that was shared with me that is the big announcement that I have for everybody here, which is going to be coming up here in just a little bit. On top of that, we're going to have an exclusive interview with Josh McDaniels, so if you want, get hashtag Raiders or Super Chat, get those questions and comments flowing. After a Raiders loss, it is usually known as Overreaction Monday, but on today's show, I am giving you a proper Reaction Monday. Let's face it, the Las Vegas Raiders were embarrassed on Sunday against the Chicago Bears and a backup quarterback that a lot of people never heard of before a week ago in Tyson Bagent. I'm not going to sit up here and rip apart the defense because to me the defense is not the problem right now with this team. It's on the offense, and it starts with your head coach. So we're going to talk about how McDaniels has lost the Raiders locker room. Then we're going to do a Josh McDaniels interview here on the show. So again, if you want to get those questions, comments in, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat the vent. And then at the very end, because I feel like the only thing that brings me joy anymore when I watch the Raiders is doing a duck race, and we're going to do that for a little bit of money. So if you want a chance to get in, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, and I'm going to throw in some of my own money once we see how many people actually get this going. So if you're a real one and you support the Raiders, even when the team is in shambles, I want to see RO4L. I'm not saying that you have to support McDaniels. I'm not saying that you have to support Mark Davis. At the end of the day, and I was the one screaming yesterday for a Raiders boycott, and I'm telling you, I'm going to encourage Raider fans to not go to Allegiant Stadium, to not go to Raiders games until Josh McDaniels is fired. But if there's one thing that I do want people to still do, it's for people to tune in to myself, for people to tune in to Graphic Raider, Wasted, Hammer, Sanjeet, Raider Honcho, all these other Raiders content creators, and I know I'm missing a lot more out there because to me, it's got to be healthy to have a conversation, and you have to be able to vent. You have to be able to talk about your frustrations, because when I got home yesterday, I promised myself, I'm not going to go on Twitter. I'm not going to go on social media. I'm not going to go out there and continue to say the same thing over and over and over again, because we know what it is at this point. Josh McDaniels is the problem, and until you remove that problem, we're just going to be sitting here doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. But I do believe that it's healthy to be able to express yourself. I do think it's healthy to be able to rally right now 1,100 Raider fans at a collective spot on YouTube, on a collective spot on Twitter, on a collective spot on IG, and talk about your frustrations. Talk about this team, because I'll tell you this right now. I see Anthony down there in the chat, Chad Warren, JP, John Gio, Drew, Jay, Chili Man, Raider, Tony, Travis Vickers, Savannah Navarro, Josh. We might not agree on everything, but I bleed silver and black, and I know the people that are tuning in right now bleed silver and black as well. And I promise it's going to be one day closer. If you want a glass half full, we are one day closer to me going live for 24 straight hours, because the Raiders sooner, I don't even know if I can say sooner, the Raiders will eventually realize that Josh McDaniels is not the right guy for the job. So if you want McDaniels to get fired, I want you to spam those fire emojis down below, because the information that I have here on today's show, I do believe Mark Davis is going to pay attention to what I have, and I do believe that it's going to light a fire underneath the Las Vegas Raiders, and if it doesn't, once you see what I have, I think that you'll even admit, if they don't move on from him now, I don't really know what it's going to take. As always, if you want to get those comments going, if you want to get those reactions going, I'm going to give shout-outs. I already see some people saying, Mitch, what's the big announcement? I'll get to the big announcement here in a little bit. So, HD Raider, what's up, my guy? I got Rob, Josh. Oh, still got Antonio Brown in the chat. Yo, what's up? Blue Richards, Carly Krugers, Van City, Juju. I mean, we have so many Raider fans right now that are just like me, sick to my stomach. I was sick to my stomach last night. But you know what? I woke up this morning, and I'm going to have a positive spin. We're going to make some people laugh today because I know the Raiders are bad on the field, and the Raiders right now are a bad coach team. But I still will say this. The nation is undefeated. We have the best damn fans in all of sports, and we're going to bring some smiles to some people today. It's not just Josh. Dave Ziegler needs to be included in all the talk about cleaning house. It's his fault, too. Both need to go. See, this is where I am going to respectfully disagree a little bit. I don't think that Dave Ziegler is bad at his job. I will admit, when you are an adult and you tie yourself to a head coach like Dave Ziegler has, when Ziegler F's up, or when McDaniels F's up, it's also on Ziegler because he knows that those two are tied together. If Ziegler was good at his job, great at his job, he would go to Mark Davis and say, hey, man, listen, we're doing all the things that we need to do. This guy just clearly can't get it done. And unfortunately, we know that's never going to happen. But I wouldn't be able to do today's big announcement, and I would not be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our sponsor, PrizePicks. So if anybody out there wants to have a little bit of fun playing fantasy football, I mean, the reason why I start to do fantasy football is because, you know, man, I was like, if the Raiders are bad every year, why not be able to play a little fantasy? And some of y'all are like, Mitch, my fantasy team stinks. Well, luckily for you, you can get a brand new pick every single week with PrizePicks, and also you're going to get a $100 deposit. So listen up right now. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. Oh, make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And I'm looking out right now to the 1,400 people that are tuned in right now to the Raiders Report to hear my big announcement. And guess what? I'm looking at all of you right now, and I got a sponsor like PrizePicks. I mean it. I say thank you so much, man. The fact that I got a sponsor that I use on the reg actually taking time out of their day to be a part of this entire thing. It's an amazing community that we've been able to bring. It's an amazing thing that we continue to be able to grow here on the Raiders Report. And if you don't think that your voice is being heard, well, listen up. It is being heard. So here are my picks for Monday Night Football tonight. Kirk Cousins, give me the more on the passing yards, 238.5. Brandon Ayuk, I have him in fantasy, so give me the more on that one. And TJ Hawkinson, this one makes me really nervous, but I need a win on my family fantasy league, and fantasy's supposed to be fun. So give me the more on that as well. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That code is going to be down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. Again, it is prizepicks.com/CLNS. Chuck, let's roll through some super chats, and then let's get into the big announcement that we have here on the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, take time, click that like button. Believe it or not, I know that not everybody can super chat, but if you want Josh McDaniels fired, I want this live video to go viral because once the info comes out, it's going to get going here. So make sure you click that like button to help me out. Let's go to Mando here. What up, Mando? Hector, appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to support this show. Team was defeated when they announced Hoyer was named starter. Josh lost the locker room. Fire the clown. I can confirm that Josh McDaniels has lost the locker room, which we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, I know there was a lot of people out there that wanted Brian Hoyer to be the starting quarterback. And, you know, part of my job up here as a host is to say, hey, I hear you. It's your opinion. And I'm not saying that I'm always right. Obviously, I'm not always right. But I do think I'm batting at a pretty high average. That's why we have a show now at almost 150,000 subscribers. But here's the one thing. As soon as you announce Brian Hoyer, you're right. You took a lot of wind out of those sails. Now 13 straight losses with him as a starter. They should have rolled with Aidan O'Connell. What up, John? Hug D's. We're the team that gave a Division II player a win in the last 50 years. Just embarrassing AF. I mean, Tyson Bagent, and you got to give credit to the Chicago Bears. They did exactly what you were supposed to do. The Raiders gave them dink and dunks. They dinked and dunked their entire way down the field the entire time, and the Raiders, yet again, made absolutely no corrections. The problem with me, though, I'm not even sitting up here saying we gave Tyson Bagent a win. The problem is that you have failed to score 20 points this season. You are averaging 16 points per game when you had the 5th highest paid offense entering the season with an offensive-minded guru as a head coach, and your offense is ass cheeks. Let's go to Thugador Strawberry. The nation will not be silenced. We are committed. Oh, I know that for a fact. I don't want the nation to be silenced. I want you guys to be loud and proud. That's one of my favorite parts about this fan base. That's the reason why I'm a Raider fan. Y'all remind me so much of my family where, guess what? You're going to have tough conversations. But what I don't like is excuses. And I can't wait for Josh McDaniels to take the podium today and give us excuse excuse. Excuse. And once he does finally take the podium, I'm going to be live here on the show today. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to go live a little bit earlier. I'm going to give you my live reaction to everything that Josh McDaniels says, because it's going to be a lot of just him just talking out of there, Thugador. Let's go to Vic Romero. If Ziegler doesn't go with McMoron, he will dip back into the Patriot pool for a coach. I'm done with the Patriot way. It's time to move on. I agree that the Patriot way has never worked without Tom Brady. It's one of the reasons why I never wanted the Raiders to hire Josh McDaniels in the beginning. But then again, what do I know? And then when the Raiders were thinking about bringing in Jimmy G, tweeted out, hey, the worst thing you could possibly do is bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. I will admit this, though. I do think that you could almost bring in anybody alive and they would do a better job than what Josh McDaniels has done. And if the Raiders want to keep Dave Ziegler, there's some options out there. Like, I'd have Gerard Mayo. I'd bring in Brian Flores. If you want to keep Ziegler, those are two guys to keep in mind. I know there's a lot of speculation around Harbaugh, Lincoln Riley. If you bring those two dudes in, you better have a very, very high pick. But here's the other part. I don't trust McDaniels to go into next year's draft if we need a QB. 805 Hunter, if McDaniels goes back to the Patriots, the destruction of our team was purposely done. I'm not 100% going to buy into that for the simple fact of I don't think that McDaniels is purposely trying to lose games. I just think that he's that clueless in terms of what it takes to be a head coach. Some guys are built to be coordinators. Some guys are built to be head coaches. But if I'm McDaniels, I would go back to New England, the only place that I've had success, and you take over for Bill Belichick once Belichick leaves. Let's go to Rebel. Fire Josh McDaniels. I was so heated with that game. I left the sports book with 5 minutes left, but it didn't impact my Vegas trip, which went well. Rebel, I was actually stalking you on Twitter, and I saw a picture of you, one of your friends, and then two of your Titans friends. All four of them, Chugs, had their jerseys on backwards. And I think I actually got to see Mary Ann, I believe, was the one person in the picture. Thought it was really cool that Rebel was wearing his jersey backwards, walking around Las Vegas. So, Rebel, Montana, you a real one. What up, Patrick? The good, the bad, the ugly, Mitch, Raider Nation for life. Hey, man, it's win, lose, or tie. Raider Nation till I die. I got a tattle on me. I know that not everybody's got a tattle on them, but Raider Nation is proof that you don't have to be blood to be family. What up, John? I can't handle another presser. We suck in so many facets: play calls, execution, drafting, throwing, running, run defense, adjustments. Ugh. I mean, the Raiders are bad right now. There's no doubt. But when a team knows what you're going to run, it makes your job very, very difficult. And here's the thing. The other teams know what the Raiders are running because the Raiders just continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. What's up, Graphic Raider? Down in my comments, everybody say what's up to Graph. Hope you have a blessed day. Graph, I got some pretty awesome information coming up here on the show. If you bleed silver and black, I want you to click that like button right now. We got almost 2,000 people here in the building, and I get it. I'm frustrated too. I'm a mad Raider fan, but the information that I got coming up here is going to put a smile on your face because you're going to sit there and you go, well, thank God. I'm glad I'm not the only one, because after that game yesterday, you sit there and you wonder, is anybody going to speak up? Is anybody going to say what needs to be said? And I hear you. It's not easy to go and say something about your head coach. I get it. It's not easy to stand up to somebody that you don't think is the right man for the job. I get it, man. I totally get it. But you know what? We had a few very brave Raiders players step up to the plate that I talked to yesterday, and over the past, I'll call it 12 to 18 hours, that stepped up to the plate, gave me some really cool information, gave me some awesome quotes that I'm able to use here. And I promise you this, the Raiders locker room does not want Josh McDaniels as a head coach, and y'all are about to see that coming up here on the show. So we got 2,000 people here in the building. If you bleed silver and black, even though Josh McDaniels sucks, click that like button right now. Click that right now. Jeremy, he wants more likes on this because he knows Queen Sarah Otto is watching this video. Hey, Fake KC, Doc's punched Raider Ben. Hey, I hope that he did. I don't even know who that guy is, though, to be honest with you. Senior Steve, what's up, man? Rebel Montana, I got you here in the building. Let's get to 500 likes, and then we're going to get this show rolling here. Queen Sarah Otto, I see you. Pushing Tin Charter says I'm here. If you want to shout out on the Raiders Report, spam Raiders right now. Believe it or not, every single person, I get it, you can't all super chat, but the way that the nation needs to be heard here is when you're called upon, it's that opportunity to not be afraid to share your opinion. We're not going to agree on everything, that I can guarantee you, but we can rally together because we are louder in numbers. I got one more in here, or two more super chats, I believe, from Mass. Starting AOC with this staff is asking to ruin his future. McDummy isn't developing him. He can't slide protection at the line of scrimmage. I don't disagree that McDaniels probably isn't going to do Aidan O'Connell any favors, and no disrespect to Aidan O'Connell, I got to be able to see what Aidan is as a quarterback. Like, with this next year's draft class, with all the talent that's coming out, I don't care if McDaniels ruins Aidan O'Connell. I need to be able to see, is Aidan O'Connell good enough to get it done with McDaniels? If that answer is yes, well, then guess what? You saved McDaniels' job. If that answer is no, well, then Josh McDaniels has to go, and you have to bring in another head coach to be able to find that QB, because as far as I've seen, you rolled with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's bad. You tried to tell me that Brian Hoyer was going to help you win games. He's awful. And yes, I get it. Aidan O'Connell struggled in his first game, but guess what? He's a rookie, and rookies are going to deal with some punches here and there. What up, Jose Delgado? Fire that foil. I'm sick to my stomach watching that game. Let's boycott Nation, and let's get the clown out. I think the only way that you're going to tell Mark Davis how you feel is if you impact his pockets. So don't go to the Raiders games. I know some people are like, Mitch, he's still going to get money because other fans are going to go to the game. Fine. Let other fans spend their money. Let other fans go to the game and let the entire thing be decked out in opposing teams' colors. Now, I'll tell you this. I still encourage people to go out to Las Vegas. I still encourage people to go out and party with Graphic Raider, party with the Blackout Division, party with Chugs and I when we're out there, because let's turn this Raiders thing into a Raider Nation. Let's spend our time and our money in things that actually matter, on being able to hang out with people that we care about instead of wasting my money going to watch Mark Davis, going to watch Josh McDaniels trying to tell me that this is the best we can do. If I wanted to go to a circus, I would just go to another circus in Las Vegas. Let's go to Raider Muerte, sending in the good vibes, and then Rebel Montana said, don't let my son Marshall in today. I'll do my best, but Marshall's got a lot of stuff going on as well, Rebel. And then Jacob Holt said, talk to Luke Masterson, played ball with him. I know exactly what you were going to say. Nation, you will be excited, LFG. Well, hey, Jacob Holt says he's talked to Luke Masterson. I'm not going to say who I talked to here, but I can promise you this. The Raiders locker room is out on McDaniels. That I can guarantee you. Victor, you're next up here. Went to the game versus the Patriots. Was good to see a W, but the team just doesn't look the same to previous years. A lot of towels on heads, moping around. McDick needs to be gone. McDaniels does need to be gone, and I do believe that some players are going to be speaking up here pretty soon. Let's go to Mando. Why can't Josh McDaniels game plan AOC like the Bears did their rookie? Peters tackling is like McDaniels is coaching. I mean, it's no secret. Marcus Peters right now is not 100% bought into what this coaching staff is selling. You saw it on a little bit of a glimpse on the field yesterday, 4 missed tackles and made some big-time decisions a few weeks ago, like the post about the Raiders firing McDaniels. I will tell you, the quotes that you see on the show are going to be all from players and what they think about Josh McDaniels. So, Chugs, I think it's time to get in here to our big announcement on the show. For anybody out there that wants Josh McDaniels fired, I know how you feel. I'm the same way. I feel like I've been shouting at the top of my lungs. It's why I literally don't have a voice. But it's not only you. It's not only me. It's not only Jeremy. It's not only the people that are watching the show. Raiders players are done with Josh McDaniels. And coming up here on the show, I'm going to give you some quotes here of what some players told me over the past 12, 18 hours about their thought process of the problem with the Raiders. So, Chugs, you ready to get this thing going? Also, remember, use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Get those questions, comments on the show, because coming up here in a little bit, we're going to be interviewing Josh McDaniels here on the Raiders Report. So, Jeremy, you ready to go? Jeremy says we're ready to go. So, coming up right now, some information from players on Josh McDaniels. Raider Nation, subscribe if you want the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels. That's it. I can sit up here all I want and I can tell you, hey, I make free videos every day. Hey, we make content. We go live all the time. But if there is one thing that I know that every single Raider fan can rally behind right now, it's we got to get that clown out of Las Vegas. So if you want the silver and black to fire him, if you want Mark Davis to smarten up, click that subscribe button, because I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that that dude is out of Las Vegas. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report by Chat Sports. And coming up here on the show, Josh McDaniels has lost the Raiders locker room per multiple Raiders players. So on this show, I am going to roll through a bunch of quotes from players that I have been speaking to over the past 12 to 18 hours after the Raiders' embarrassing 30-12 loss to the Chicago Bears. And I know when that game ended, I went on social media and I saw a lot of people were upset. I saw that Fire Josh McDaniels was trending. I told a lot of people to go out there and boycott Raiders games until Mark Davis smartens up and fires this dude. And hopefully, Mark Davis sees this video, and hopefully, people who make decisions in the Raiders office see this video. So I'm going to ask the nation out there, I need you guys to share this as much as you possibly can, because Raiders players are done with Josh McDaniels, and I have multiple quotes to be able to prove that to you, that the locker room is out on McDaniels. So now you have a fan base that doesn't want him, and now you got players that want nothing to do with him. Every single quote that you see here will be from an anonymous player. It was the only way that I was allowed to share these quotes, and here's the other crazy part. This is not even all the quotes. I wasn't even allowed to share all of them. I had to make sure that I could share certain ones. But several quotes that you're about to see are from a bunch of different Raiders players, and I'll never tell you who they are. So the first quote coming in here on Josh McDaniels. Again, every conversation that I had was a little bit different. You kind of poke the bear. You try to get something out from certain dudes. And from this Raiders player on McDaniels, he told me this: "We did everything we could as a team, but it's been the same thing for 7 weeks now." If you want more context on this overall conversation, I was like, all right, man, obviously it was a tough football game. How would you say you guys are getting better? Because that's what I want to see. I want to see improvement, right? Like, we're 24 games into this point with Josh McDaniels, and Raiders players are just as frustrated. There is no improvement right now. But what do I hear? It's the same thing over and over and over again, not just on game days, on practice. It's the same thing, and until this team actually realizes, looks themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, it is our head coach, it is our coaching staff. But no, they're going to point the finger, they're going to blame everybody else. It's a losing mentality. Josh McDaniels is a loser. So tell me how you feel. I want you to go down and spam fire Josh McDaniels. The only reason why I am making this video is because I want the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels. I know the Raider Nation wants the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels. And now I know that multiple Raiders players that spoke to me want the Raiders to fire McDaniels. And guess what? If it takes an NFL player to message a dude on YouTube and tell you how they're feeling, I just want you to imagine what that locker room is like. That's how bad it is right now. I've been doing this show for a long time, man. And you think about all the drama that has gone on around this Raiders team over the past few years. This is the very first time that I've had multiple Raiders players reach out to me, and the very first time that I've been able to talk to multiple Raiders players about one topic, and they gave me an answer. Why? They're frustrated, and they want to move on from McDaniels just as bad as you do. Here's the next Raiders player quote on McDaniels. "We have too much talent to be 3-4, that's for sure." Guess what? I don't see any reason why I disagree with this. For the first time in a long time, the Raiders defense is actually decent. You have a top 20 defense. The Patrick Graham defense actually has been playing pretty damn well considering the fact of how bad the offense has been. But when you look at every single offensive metric, you spent all this money going into the offseason. Entering the regular season, the Raiders had a top 5 paid offense entering the season. Obviously, that has changed a little bit because now you have the Joe Burrow deal, now you have the Justin Herbert deal. But think about entering March, okay? Think about entering March. The Raiders had top 5 money in free agency. You had 12 picks overall in the draft. And yes, you needed to address some of your defense. No doubt about that. In fact, I think a lot of us would have argued you should have invested more on your defense. But instead of taking that money and going and investing with Patrick Graham's defense, instead of taking care of the big problem, you decided to make your ego bigger, Josh, and say, we're going to stack this offense. That way nobody can stop us. Well, guess what? You have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So not only did you waste free agency, not only did you waste trades, not only did you waste the draft, you're wasting my time right now, and you're wasting a lot of Raiders players' times out there. Another Raider player had this to say on Josh McDaniels. "It's the worst feeling on offense when the defense calls out your plays and knows what you're running. Chicago did that constantly." That is a Raiders player telling you that on Sunday against the Bears, regarded as maybe the other worst team in the NFL in terms of a coach with Matt Eberflus, other people would say probably Staley from the Chargers, but the Chicago Bears on a constant basis were calling out the plays the Raiders were going to do. Do you know why? Because anybody that watches the Raiders at any point can tell you what they're going to do. Slant, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, I'm going to try to check down here. If we get close to the 40-yard line, here comes some sort of a shitty trick play because McDaniels isn't creative enough. And it's starting to really build frustration in that locker room. I mean, you saw the frustration last week with Devontae Adams. I will tell you right now, none of the quotes that you see are from Devontae Adams because guess what? He did not comment or reply back to me. But you know what? When you see the frustration, a few weeks ago, Marcus Peters liked a tweet about firing McDaniels. Devontae Adams storms out after a Raiders win because he knows they're not living up to the expectations. Now you get blown out against the Bears, and probably over the past 24 games that McDaniels has coached, I don't even know if this is the worst game ever. Jeff Saturday against the Colts, you lost to him when he came off the couch 3 days before. You lost to Baker Mayfield 16-3 with 2 minutes left when he wasn't even a quarterback for an NFL team. You blew a 20-0 lead to the Arizona Cardinals. You blew 5 10-point leads last season. Guess what? The frustration is starting to build, and NFL players know what Josh McDaniels is going to do because of this. He does the same thing that he's always done, and he's never going to change. I got more quotes coming up here on the Raiders Report, but remember, daily fantasy sports, man. If you're a Raider fan right now, I don't know about you, PrizePicks is what brings me joy at this current spot in my life. And I think that if you could take a little bit of time away from the Raiders, you're going to have some fun here with PrizePicks, which is daily fantasy sports made easy. So, nation, listen up. Jeremy Chuggs and I, man, we've been having the most fun that we've had, winning up to 25 times our money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and then place your entry. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy game play, and an enormous selection of players and stat types, or make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. My picks for Monday Night Football, because I got burned yesterday because I decided to trust McDaniels and the Raiders, so I'm going to go with Monday Night Football here. Give me the more on Kirk Cousins passing yards. I need him to sling it around the field a little bit, hopefully, to T.J. Hawkinson. And then I'm also going to go with Brandon Ayuk for the more. Get me more PrizePicks, and you guys can get started too. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. I've been playing PrizePicks for a long time, and the fact that they are a sponsor here on the Raiders Report, it is one of the biggest ways that I can sit out there and say thank you to the entire nation for helping the Raiders Report continue to grow, and let's continue to have this thing grow and have the nation's voice be heard. All right, let's go to the next quote here from an anonymous Raiders player on Josh McDaniels. Been saying it since last season. It's hard to win when you're too damn predictable. So this Raiders player in particular has been a part of this organization the entire time that Josh McDaniels has been a part of this organization. And when you think about the Raiders back in 2021, yeah, they might not have been a playoff team, but guess what? They went to the playoffs. They were 10-7 under Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia, when he was the head coach of the Raiders, was 7-5 in those games when he was an intern. But when you have a player like this, okay, who has worked with McDaniels now for 24 days in a row, or 24 games in a row, has been a part of this team for about 2 years, you're hoping that something changes, that, oh, maybe we can mix it up a little bit. But they know it just as well as us that nothing's going to change. And it's one of the reasons here, this was not confirmed by a Raiders player, but I can read between the lines. One of the reasons right now that Hunter Renfrow is frustrated as what he is because he's not the only one. There's a bunch of players in that locker room that feel like no matter what I do, I'm not going to be used. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I practice, no matter how well I play in the game, McDaniels is going to do what McDaniels does, and he's always going to put his guys above everyone else. Jimmy Garoppolo is a perfect example of that. You sign a QB when you know he's not very good. You start Brian Hoyer over an Aidan O'Connell because you know he's your guy. You keep Brandon Bolden on the roster even though he adds absolutely nothing to this team. I don't even know if he's played this season, and I watch every game. You could have cut him and saved 2-point-something million. The Josh McDaniels regime plays their players, and they play favorites. It does not sit well in the Raiders locker room, especially when you're losing, and especially when you're as bad as what this team has been with Josh McDaniels as a head coach. Let's go to this next one here. They've been running the same shit for 20 years now, and they're too hard-headed to change. That's why we lose. I will admit this. I replied to this comment, and I asked, are you referring to Mark Davis and the Raiders or Josh McDaniels and the Patriot way? I did not get a response. So they can be referring to Mark Davis. They can be referring to how bad this Raiders organization has been over the past 20 years, which we can all agree. And I do think that I can sit up here all I want and yell, fire Josh McDaniels, but I also can say that Mark Davis is obviously extremely responsible considering the fact that he's never been able to get the right people in his job. And I don't need Josh McDaniels, or I don't need Mark Davis to know football. I need him to hire the right people to make the right decisions. But also, if they're talking about the Patriot way, yeah, the Patriot way has done the exact same thing over and over and over again. And when it hasn't had Tom Brady, it hasn't gotten any results. So this is the next part of this conversation I was having with a player. I look at him and I go, hey, bro, like, you know, enjoy your day off. I want you to take some time with your family. And the next time that I'm in Las Vegas, let's get together and let's talk. This is what this player said to me. This is mind-blowing. Sounds good to me. And we have to go and watch film and listen to the coaches blame us again for the loss. So after that, I'll be good. That is a Raiders player telling you that he honestly, he added a few other things in there that I wasn't allowed to put. But essentially, he's not the only Raiders player that feels like they're wasting their time, for one, going in on a Monday and having this coaching staff yell at them. But then also, I mean, you hear it there, that they're just going to sit up there, they're going to blame us, they're going to point the finger, and that's what they do. It's starting to get really sick and tired for a lot of Raiders players out there. And then, this was another very good quote from a Raiders player, that this is the one where I'll tell y'all, you guys like this guy a lot. Our offense is too old school and not up to date if you watch the best offenses in the NFL, like the 49ers and the Eagles and the Dolphins. They all use the entire field, and they use every player they have are creative AF, not like us. They have fun playing football. For us, it's a job. That last part I thought was kind of wild because they said, it's a job. And I get it's a job, but at the end of the day, you want to enjoy what you do. And there's a lot of Raiders players right now that aren't enjoying playing in the NFL. They're not enjoying playing for the Las Vegas Raiders, and how can you blame them? The offense right now is absolutely disgraceful. Josh McDaniels continues to show you that he has no idea what he's doing. So the total yards per game, 27th. Rushing yards, last. Giveaways, you're dead last there. Points, 30th. There is nothing good about this Raiders offense, and players are sick and tired of it. And I don't know, because they can't come out and say it, because obviously that's a bad look. But the fact that multiple Raiders players gave me these quotes just goes to show you how frustrated it is. And again, I'm a big believer where there's smoke, there's fire. And you got Raiders captains liking posts about wanting to fire McDaniels. Then you got a cool, calm guy like Devontae Adams, mad after a win, tells you that, he's wins and losses here and there, but he's trying to win some greatness. Well, guess what? I'm trying to do the exact same thing here. I'm trying to spread the word, because Mark Davis, people that make decisions, need to be able to get this message out there. Raiders players don't want Josh McDaniels. Raider Nation does not want Josh McDaniels. So here's your job. I get it. Not everybody has a YouTube channel. I totally get you. Not everybody has a lot of Twitter followers, has a lot of Instagram followers. Some of y'all don't even probably have social media. But you know what we all have? Y'all have a cell phone. Text this video to a Raider fan. Say share it. Click the share icon on Twitter, post it out there, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, any spot that you can share this video, because people need to see that even Raiders players do not want Josh McDaniels. So here's how I'm going to end this show right now. Mark Davis, this message is to you and to you only, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that can make this happen. It's time for you to smarten up. Raiders players, Raider Nation, want you to fire Josh McDaniels. It's a simple ask. It's been 24 games. The Raiders have not gotten better. In fact, every single person that's got an ounce of a brain would make the argument they have got considerably worse. And if you cared about your father's legacy, if you cared about the Shield, if you cared about what Raider Nation truly embodies and commitment to excellence, you would fire Josh McDaniels, not tomorrow, not in a few hours. You would fire him right now. All right. Will the Raiders score more than 21 points in a game this year? Also, Chugs. What I want to do here is this. If you could push me full screen, guys, and one of the things that I wanted to be able to do with y'all is I wanted to be able to share my thoughts on the live press conference that Josh McDaniels has right now, and he's actually live right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to him, and I'm also going to try to fill you guys in on what McDaniels is saying and overall give his input on some of the problems going on with the Raiders. He's simply saying that the game got away from him. It's not frustrating to get it going. McDaniels was just asked if he thinks that the Raiders are getting ready to turn a corner. I'm telling you that they're not ready to turn a corner. He's saying you see execution, you see good plays. I mean, again, it's going to be a lot of deflection here. It's going to be a lot of the same old type of thing. McDaniels, you're right. We have a lot of good players. There's a fine line between not doing good enough and doing very well. He's basically saying that if you change the little results, it's going to add up to the big picture overall, where in the NFL, you need 11 guys to do the same thing in order to have success. And, if you design the right play, but not everybody does their job, then it's not going to be the right results. I mean, that's unbelievable to me. Football is a mysterious game sometimes. No, the only thing that's mysterious, I mean, Josh McDaniels must have something on Mark Davis. Yeah, again, he's just kind of going in circles here live. I get that you guys can't hear him, and maybe it's not a good interaction here between me and you with me giving you what McDaniels is saying. If you want to go check it out, you can. There's 600 people there watching him, where we got 2,400 people here on the Raiders Report. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Josh McDaniels, get those questions, comments in. This is what McDaniels just had to say. We need to put together a performance that's representative of what we think we can be. We are searching for that. #Raiders. I mean, I could tell you this. You need to put together a performance that's not disgraceful, and it starts with the head coaching staff, man. It really does. It starts with the head coaching staff, and McDaniels needs to learn that he's got to be better. He's talking about now the chemistry with certain guys, and he thinks that it's the way that the offense is being handled. It's all has to deal with chemistry, and we need more chemistry. Got to do what we got to do based on injuries. And one of my biggest problems with his conversation yesterday when he was asked about, starting Brian Hoyer, he kind of said, well, it's not preseason. We can't roll with Aidan O'Connell is essentially what he said, which makes me laugh out loud because he started Aidan O'Connell a few weeks ago. But the big problem I have right now with McDaniels is he's acting like winning a game in the NFL with a backup is difficult, which he's not wrong. Winning a game in the NFL with a backup quarterback is difficult. But the Chicago Bears also won a game and embarrassed you with their backup quarterback who was a D2 guy. And when you sign a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, guess what? You know that he's not going to be able to stay healthy. And if McDaniels is going to sit up there and say, oh, we thought that he could stay healthy, you're lying to yourself. And it just shows yet again that your plan, you don't ever have a plan B. You stick to the Josh McDaniels plan, which is, oh, we're going to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. Great. Oh, if that don't work out, now let's go to a quarterback like Brian Hoyer. He stinks. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do next week against the Detroit Lions. My question to everybody out there that's watching right now, who should be the Raiders starting quarterback next week against the Detroit Lions? Honest question. Should it be Jimmy Garoppolo? Should it be Aidan O'Connell? Should it be Brian Hoyer? And if you answer Brian Hoyer again, I'm going to laugh you out of here. I'm going to laugh you out of here. What do we think here? Let's get some comments flowing. The Real Cali G says, I work with 49ers Nerds fans. What a rough Monday morning. Oh, I can imagine it was a rough Monday morning. It was a rough morning for Chugs and I walking in here, though I think Chugs is focused on who's going to win the Astros and Rangers game, which I don't blame him. I'm kind of excited to see how that one goes. Jose Delgado. I mean, everybody right now is spamming for Aidan O'Connell, and I don't blame you. It should be Aidan O'Connell. Remember at the beginning of the season when Josh McDaniels said that they're going to try to get some of these younger players more playing experience because they're trying to build for the future? I remember that. And now you're rolling with only veterans and you're sitting all your rookies because they're inactive every week. It's extremely, extremely frustrating. I'm doing my best here, y'all, to listen to this McDaniels presser, but he's not giving any information worth sharing, which doesn't surprise anybody out there. I would like to be able to tell you, oh, he said this, and here's a takeaway from it. We're going to look hard at ourselves. We're going to look hard from within. We're going to continue to try to do the right things that we feel is necessary that a good football team can do. We're going to try to play fast. I've never seen somebody who talks for so long and says absolutely nothing. I've never seen it. It's actually, it's a talent. Josh McDaniels, I don't think that we tackled well. Really, Josh? The Raiders missed 14 tackles yesterday. We're going to need to work on that. Yep. But this is shocking. You are going to have to work on your missed tackling issues. Why don't we address the defensive line that Raider fans have been trying to get? So as soon as McDaniels is done with this press conference, we're going to interview Josh McDaniels here on the Raiders Report. So if you want to get your questions here on the show, use hashtag Raiders to ask Josh McDaniels any questions that you may have. And just let me know when that's out or somebody else pushing it. You are? All right, because I already have a tweet, so I want to be able to share that tweet. McDaniels interview coming up here on the show, so ask him anything that you want to ask him. Here we go. I can't wait. I've been trying to get a McDaniels interview for a very long time here on the show, and it's going to happen. Yeah, Mario says it's the same shit over and over and over again. It's how do I explain an excuse to you in a bunch of different ways? That's what you're hearing here. Let's go to some supers while we are waiting for McDaniels to end his interview with the Raiders and then join us here. Mando, why can't Josh McDaniels game plan AOC like the Bears did their rookie? Because McDaniels only does one thing. He sticks to that game plan, and the early game plan for the Raiders was, how can I get Davante Adams the ball as much as humanly possible? Adams was the first 3 targets, all 3 catches. I believe it might have even been out of the first 5 passes, 4 of them went to Davante Adams. And then after that, no more script. The Raiders have done a good job in the first quarter on their first drive or two because typically those are the drives that are scripted. After that, then it's up for anything. Josh McDaniels' interview is over across the media. Thanks for the love of God, and I wanted to be able to talk about some of the things that he said. Unfortunately, though, nothing's there. There's nothing there to talk about. So Josh McDaniels just left that press conference, and coming up here on the show, we're going to sit down, talk to McDaniels himself. So if you want to get those questions in, please go ahead and do so. Let's go to Mask. McDaniels should have been fired after the Colts last year. All the rest is just Davis twisting the knife into Raider Nation. And again, if it was up to me, I would not have even hired McDaniels in the first place. And I think a lot of people that watch this show, they know that I was not high, and I'm still not high, and I'm never going to be high on the whole hire around McDaniels. But when you think about what could have happened for the Raiders and Mark Davis, right? Here's the only reason why I could make the argument and why the Raiders need to fire McDaniels now. The only excuse for Josh, and that Josh could have possibly given, was Derek Carr. Hey, you guys have never been able to win with this quarterback and Derek Carr. I decided to come here and be a part of this team, see if I could win with your quarterback in D.C., and I was able to get his best buddy, one of the best receivers in the National Football League, Davante Adams, over. That's what McDaniels was able to say. So then you move on from D.C., and here's the clean slate. Now Mark Davis tells him, all right, bro, you get to bring in any QB that you want. Whoever you want, it's got to be your guy. He goes, who am I going with? My guy and Jimmy Garoppolo. And guess what? It was the wrong decision. So I get how frustrating last season was. Believe me. But now the fact that he's failed with Derek Carr and with the quarterback of his choosing and a team that now he has been able to build for 24 games, basically 2 seasons, and this is the product, yeah, now's the problem where you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, we hired the wrong guy. And it's as obvious to everybody but Mark Davis. Let's go to Chili Man. What up, Chili Man? Brandon Marshall spoke the truth about Josh McDaniels, and now we see it. The faster they shit can him, the better. Much love, Mitch. Chili Man, much love to you too. And this is one of those things that I brought up before the Raiders hired McDaniels. One of the things that I was worried about, and you see the show that I just did where Raiders players are speaking up about, they don't want McDaniels as their head coach, or that Raiders players have said that now that they don't want McDaniels there because that they're frustrated. I get all that, because then you had a player, Brandon Marshall, who's played with McDaniels and knows that McDaniels is the type of coach that refers to everybody as a barcode, as X's and O's, as, oh, that's number 98, instead of a good head coach needs to be able to know the X's and O's, but a good head coach has to look at somebody and go, Max Crosby, and not refer to him as an X's and O. And until McDaniels learns how to work with people, and until McDaniels learns how to make adjustments, you're not going to have success. It's a lot easier to look good when you have Tom Brady. What up, Cameron? Next up here on the show, Mitch, I'm a 55-year-old fan of the Raiders. No coach has been this bad. I know the Raiders have had a lot of bad coaches, and I know there's been a lot of frustration, but this team that this Raiders team has right now, they're not a 3-4 football team. And what's crazy is 3-4, they're lucky. You beat a bottom 5 team in the Denver Broncos. You beat a very bad Green Bay Packers team. And you beat a bad Patriots team. I get it. Patriots just beat the Buffalo Bills. So, hey, it's kind of the NFL. It's a little bit of a wonky thing. But the Raiders this season were bad against Denver, embarrassed against the Bills, embarrassed against the Steelers, not great against the Los Angeles Chargers, not great against the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I'd say bad against New England, and then you were just unbearable against the Chicago Bears. The Raiders have not shown any life this season. They don't show like this team is inspired to play football. And when you got a Raiders player that comes out and says that I wish, one of the quotes directly in, how do I paraphrase it? They're not having fun. They're going to play a football and they're treating it like a job, when a lot of other teams around the NFL, they're having fun playing in the NFL. Can you send me that link then, Chugs? Raider Travis, what's up, my brother? Thank you for supporting this show. Appreciate to everybody taking time out of their day to watch the Raiders Report. We had a big announcement. We broke it down. The big announcement was multiple Raiders players want Josh McDaniels fired from their head coaching spot. And you're not going to see who those players were. They wanted to be anonymous, but I can promise you this. Josh McDaniels has lost the Raiders locker room. That I can 100% confirm from the multiple Raiders players that I talked to over the last 12 to 18 hours after their loss to the Chicago Bears. So to the 2,500 people that are watching this, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so. If you haven't already shared this video, please make sure you do so, because the only way that we are going to get the clown out of Las Vegas is if the nation unites and we get loud and we talk and we tell Mark Davis, bro, it is finally time to make a change. All right, I'm going to tweet that out. It's out. What up, Super Chat? Raider Travis, bring back Bisaccia. Fire Josh McDoofus. I mean, again, I love Rich Bisaccia, man, but I'm not going to go back to Bisaccia. The Raiders have a lot of other great coaches that they can choose from. Go check out my video I did with Josh McDaniels replacements. I mean, there are so many other very, very talented offensive-minded, defensive-minded coaches that are going to be a part of this hiring cycle next year. And there's even some great guys in college, dude. I'm not bringing back Bisaccia. If you want to bring back Bisaccia on a special teams way, cool. Head coach, though, I'm not going to do it. There's other candidates out there. What up, Savannah? Fire McDipshit and bring back Bisaccia. I get it. Y'all love Bisaccia. I love Bisaccia, too. Hell, we called him Papa Bisaccia for a long time because we knew what he was doing with this team. It went beyond just football. It went way, way beyond the X's and O's. Rich Bisaccia built an amazing friendship, built an amazing relationship with these players. I mean, how many coaches, after they're gone, write handwritten letters to every single Raiders player saying thank you? Like, the amount of players that I talked to that literally said, I love that guy, and not just like in the sense of, oh yeah, like, I love ice cream. I do like ice cream a lot. No, it was, I love that guy. Like, I would go to battle for that guy. And I know a lot of Raiders players meant that. So you went from Rich Bisaccia to just the complete opposite of that. It was a terrible, terrible hire. All right, y'all, coming up here on the Raiders Report, a live interview with Josh McDaniels. So if you want to ask McDaniels anything, use hashtag Raiders to ask McDaniels. Now, obviously, I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know how he's going to answer these questions. But if you have anything that you want to be able to ask McDaniels, now will be your opportunity. So, Chugs, I'm going to go grab him. Giggity. I'm going to go get him here real quick, so hold down the fort, and then we'll be right back.
All right. Mitch is going to go grab Josh McDaniels. Remember, hashtag Raiders to ask McDaniel. You're not asking me. You're not asking Mitch. You're asking Josh McDaniels whatever you want right now in this moment. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I mean, This is your opportunity. I know a lot of you have said, man, if McDaniels was in front of me right now, if I was able to just sit in that Raiders front office and tell McDaniels X, Y, Z, this is what I would say. So, right now is your chance. Go down and ask Josh McDaniels whatever you want. Hey, spam the Astros in the chat, too. We know who's winning tonight. Spam the Astros in the chat. We already know. Hey, F you, man. McDaniels just walked in. He's getting set up. We're getting him mic'd up right now. Oh, my God, he has a visor. I can't even believe it. Wow. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. I think we're about ready to go. You ready to go, Josh? Yeah. All right. Here on the Raiders Report, live Q&A with Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels. All right. And here we go.
Yeah, yesterday was a rough day, no doubt about it. Losing to the Chicago Bears, I think we can all agree. If we would have, executed a little bit better, I think we would have had a better overall result. There was some good, there was some bad. Overall, I thought that they, just beat us at our own game. Could have drew up a few better plays, but sometimes, things just don't go, the way that we were hoping for overall. Let's go to Kale. Give Aidan O'Connell a chance. I stand behind O'Connell. We got to look at the regular season, a little different than preseason. O'Connell did, a lot of great things for us during the preseason, and unfortunately, we just felt like Brian Hoyer, with his experience, just his ability to run our offense, really be able to just do some of the things that a young rookie we didn't think would have the ability to do, which is why we went with the guy that, we thought gave us, the best chance to win that football game. James Lillard, Josh McDaniels needs to go, but starting over is frustrating. I don't think that I need to go. I know that it hasn't gone the way that we maybe have planned this season to go. But overall, I think that we're making strides. We're working our tails off at practice every single day. I see the guys, working hard. We continue to go out there and do the little things in practice, and we just got to execute. We got to get all 11 guys. Being able to get all 11 guys on the same page for every single play to be able to execute what I'm drawing up, it'll come together. It'll come together. Savage, Mark Davis doesn't care for the Raiders at this moment, too focused on the Las Vegas Aces. One of the things you got to give them Aces credit for is they went out, they play good overall. They play, they play. So let's go to Adane. You think it's just McDaniels or all the coaches? People are gonna point the finger, at me, and that's part of the job of being a head coach in the NFL. But this is a team sport. We're going to look at the offense. We're going to look at the defense, the special teams, strength and conditioning coaches. You don't win a Super Bowl, with just one part of the team. Like, we all got to be united. We got to continue to do the little things, in order to be better, and we'll get it together. But it could be all of us. It's the players. It's myself. It's Dave. It's Mark. It's top to the bottom. That's how you get to where you got to go. Are you still trading Hunter Renfrow? I love Renfrow. He's one of those players that when we gave him that contract, we were really hoping would be a great fit for us. And he's a hell of a player, I'm telling you. We try to get him the football. We were using him a little bit more this past week against the Bears, try to get him to open space. I thought we had some good opportunities to get him the football overall. But we're just going to try to make this football team better. And if that means trading away Hunter Renfrow, I believe that we're going to do what's best for making this team better. Who will be the Raiders' starting quarterback for the rest of the season? Deciding to go with Brian was my gut feeling that would have been the best choice against the Bears. Aidan's
continues to work. He continues to get better here and there. But we brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. We brought in Jimmy to be that leader. And if he's able to go this week against the Lions, I think that's the route that we're going to have to go. Brian will be the backup again. We'll probably make Aidan O'Connell inactive because, again, it's not the preseason. All right, question here. Do you want the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels? F for fire, K for keep. I'm going to guess, I hope that people are going to be able to buy into what I'm selling here, but overall, I understand the frustrations. I'm frustrated too. We work really, really hard every single day in that building. I know a lot of people are doing everything that they possibly can, but hopefully you guys decide to keep me around. Let's go to Sandwich. Play OAC. I don't even know who that is. Love from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee, beautiful city. I've only been there a handful of times, but Aidan O'Connell, we'll assess what this team needs to do, and we're going to put our guys in the best position to win going forward. James Lillard, it's not just missed tackles, it's passive tackling. We had a few missed opportunities. A few guys are banged up at this point in the season. Everyone's dealing with something. Something's happening here and there. I thought Patrick did a good job designing plays that helped us get to where we needed to go on defense. But you're right. We got to clean it up a little bit. We'll execute better. We'll go back to the drawing board, and we'll look at how to improve this defense moving forward. Daniel, Jimmy G starts, even if he's injury-prone. Rookie quarterback should hold a clipboard the first year. Throwing rookie quarterbacks to the fire rarely ends well. And when you have a guy like Aidan, he might look like a rookie sometimes, but his ability to process, it's what makes him special. When he was coming out of Purdue, loved the kid, thought he was impressive. Jimmy's had a few unfortunate mishaps in his career. I wouldn't say that he's injury prone, you can't really predict injuries, but our thought process on not starting Aidan and deciding to go with Brian was ultimately the reason why, we went this route. Aside from Caleb Williams and Drake May, what other quarterbacks would you take in next year's draft? I'm just trying to focus on week 8. I'm really just trying to focus on the Detroit Lions. I mean, there are, that's where we have to go. The Lions, they had a tough game last week. The Ravens showed up, but in the NFL, you just got to take it 1 week at a time. I'm not trying to look at next season. I'm just going to keep on building what we have here because, we got a good team. We have a good team. We have the ability to execute. So to even think that we're going to be looking at another quarterback, it's just too early to go out and tell. Now, today's show, from what I understand, is sponsored by HexClad, and I'm not much of a cook, but from what I hear, that there's a lot of people out there, that want me fired. And if you want to have these fire cast iron pans, then listen up right now because shout out to Raider Nation and shout out to everyone out there. It's time to talk about your kitchen. And no, I'm not talking about your roommate's dishes in the sink. Today's sponsor, HexClad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. Raider Nation, go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off. HexClad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. But I know a lot of y'all probably aren't going to take my word for it. What about Gordon Ramsay? Why he uses HexClad? The sear I can get with these pans is incredible with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using HexClad at home. They're also the sexiest pans on the market. Score points at home. It's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with HexClad. Real cuisine isn't made in the microwave. It's cooked in a HexClad. For a limited time, get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. Appreciate HexClad for sponsoring the Raiders Report. And even if you don't like my coaching, I promise you're going to like what, what you're going to be cooking here in these HexClad. So again, go down to the link down below, hexclad.com/chatsports. More questions? Perfect. Another terrible stat for the offense. I believe it's 13 or 14 straight games where Raiders quarterback has at least one interception. Terrible, terrible. This is one of those things, you got to get 11 guys, same page. You have good blocking. Your running back might not pick up a guy. Offense runs a different play here and there. Our quarterback play, it will get better. It starts with me, and I'm working hard. We're all working hard to, make sure that it's better going forward, and it will be better. McDaniels must go. I will be leaving here in a little bit, so I appreciate that. Phaser, absolutely hate how we play at our level of competition. We can never play better. It's frustrating. We need to do better. It starts with me. It starts with Dave. It starts with the coaching staff. We're going to work hard this week to make sure the guys are ready to go for Monday Night Football and make sure that we're ready to go because the Detroit Lions, they're, Jared Goff, top to bottom, really, really well coached team. They're going to be angry after a loss. We'll make sure we're ready to go for Monday Night Football. John, how do you still have a job with a 9-15 record and $100 million offense? Tell the nation what position group you've personally made better. I don't really look at just the numbers. I'm here to build, for the future. I'm here to build what I believe helps us win. And, a lot of fans, they look at the short term. But they don't sit down. They're not in the room every day. They're not doing the little things, the tough nuances that it's going to take to, be successful in the NFL. And I've had past success, coaches, players, and I know the little things you don't see on the field, but the little things will add up over time. Scheist, how did you turn a playoff team 2 years ago to a dumpster fire? More talent now than, man, smarten up. I mean, when Dave and I decided to come into this team, we looked at the overall roster. We were able to build, with some of the players that we felt were going to help us get to where we needed to go. I wouldn't say that certain teams based on record, were better or loss or better or worse. You just, sometimes bounces happen a certain way. Some teams get lucky. Injuries happen. There's a lot of things out of control. So to say that we've gotten worse and turned this team into a dumpster fire, I don't think is looking at the big picture. How do you plan on fixing the Raiders' offense? We're going to go look at the film. We're going to sit down with the guys. We're going to look at the little things that we're doing right, that we're doing wrong. Probably should get the ball to Devontae a little bit more. I mean, that guy's incredible. Jacobs is a hell of a running back. We got good receivers. We got a good team. It just, right now, we're not synced up, and when you think about the little nuances of how to run an NFL offense, it's just, if you don't have all 11 guys on the same page every single time you run a play, it's just not going to be successful. Question, is McDaniels the worst head coach in the NFL? Yes or no? There's a lot of really talented coaches in the league, and, to be the best, to be the worst, can change week to week, and that's what the NFL is about. I know that I have the coaching pedigree. I have multiple Super Bowl wins to say that I've done a lot of good things and worked with a lot of great people. So, I wouldn't say that I'm the worst. Let's go to Nathan. Are you related to Bozo? I don't know a Bozo personally, but maybe. Chris, why do you sit when you pee? I just find it's a lot easier on my back, on my shoulders, carrying all this weight from carrying this Raiders team. Easier for me to sit when I pee. Halo, good game from a Bears fan here. Are you aware of how many Raider fans hate you? How does that make you feel? I mean, Raider fans are passionate. They're gonna want results. They're gonna want, a different picture. And again, we can't just sit up here and just look at it on a week-to-week basis. We have to sit here and say, are we getting better? And I believe when you look at the little things, because again, during practice, crisp practice, we're doing all the right things there, and sooner or later, it will come to time where we start executing in a game. Brandon, how can you look in the mirror and say to yourself and say, I can do this job? I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs that you're going to battle, but we've been doing this, Dave and I, for a long time. And I think because we've won some past Super Bowls, I think that shows that we can get there. It's just we got to have the right pieces. We got to be able to build our, system. And, it'll come in time. It'll come in time. Hey, Josh, what goes through your mind when you make horrible decisions on fourth down territories? I look at the game from a whole picture, right? Like, if it's 21-3 and the offense is moving, I want to put points up on the board there, make it 21-6. A few weeks ago against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's 23-15, and I just felt like kicking a field goal was, probably the best thing that we could have done there, because you can go back and you can look at things that you might have done, that you should have done, that you could have done, that you would have done, that maybe you'd do a little bit differently, woulda, shoulda, coulda, But I thought that cutting that lead down to 5 points was the smart thing. This isn't Cameron. This is Al Davis. Josh, you are disgraceful. You are fired. Well, I'll talk to my people, and we'll try to link up with Mark. But I appreciate your consideration. Wild one. Hey, Dave, McDavis ever considered taking leadership classes? To be honest, it's not a leadership. It's not a problem there. I think it's a lot of times it just comes down to the little things, the execution, the ability to do the little things right over and over again is what's really going to separate us from a lot of NFL teams. And sooner or later, we'll get there. We'll get there. Top Beats, good coaches design plays that take advantage of players' talents. Why do you force players to adopt your offensive scheme without any versatility at all? Do you think your offense is outdated? I wouldn't say our offense is outdated. It's just maybe not up to date, And overall, I think good coaches can put their players in a lot of different schemes and can put yourself in different situations to help you have success. It takes time being able to build that over and over. Raider Nation, appreciate you guys for having me on here. I'm going to hop on out. Got to go back to the drawing board here. We got a big game against the Detroit Lions, and obviously if you guys want to tune into the show, from what I understand, this guy named Chugs, we're going to be live. Raiders, Lions, Monday Night Football. Make sure you click that subscribe button, and obviously if I get fired, 24-hour straight live stream on the Raiders Report. Timothy, Josh, is it possible you can set yourself on fire? I got to pee, so I'll probably get out of here in a little bit. McDaniels, do you consider yourself a loser? No, I look at my pedigree. I look at what I've done in the past. I wouldn't consider myself a loser. Alan, I support Jimmy G. I support Jenny Garoppolo. Yeah, I mean, if he's healthy, he'll play. Carly, how does it feel to be a clown? Warm. Nathan, Nicole, appreciate it. Joseph, are your players tired of hearing I think that answer. Why do you smell? I don't really know if I smell. If anything, I smell like a mask. Hey, Josh, is Helen Keller drawing up your plays for you? Rarely? Lewis? Yep. Yes, I did. And you guys can get yours too at hexclad.com/chatsports. Jeremy, let me just hop out of here real quick and go back and get Mitch, and we'll be right back.
All right, folks, that's it for Josh McDaniels. Thank you for your time here, Mr. McDaniels. Really appreciate you spending some time with us in Raider Nation. Means a lot. And we're going to end today's show on a little bit more of a positive note. We're going to do a quick 50-50 raffle, a little duck race action. So, if you want to get in, if you want to have a chance to win some money, maybe McDaniels throws some of his money in there? Maybe? Josh is saying that he's going to throw some of his money in there as well. So, get in right now, 50-50 raffle, $20 to enter. You can either scan the QR code right here or at Mitchell Renz 365. Make sure there's 2 L's. There's a poser, a loser, trying to scam people with one L. Make sure it's two L's in Mitchell Renz 365. Later, Josh. And, oh, here comes Mitch. Here comes Mitch. All right. Here we go. Let me get his mic on. And here we go.
Raider Nation, what's going on? I'm back here. Shout out to Josh McDaniels for taking time out of his day to pop up here on this interview. I know his time is very precious, especially after a 30-12 loss, so huge shout out to him. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to answer some more questions. So again, if there was anything that McDaniels answered that you're like, I have no idea what the hell he said for that ramble, nuance, and I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. If you thought like that for any point of time, I'm more than happy to answer those questions here again. If you want to get in our 50-50 Venmo raffle race, Venmo me at Mitchell Renz 365, and I'm going to check to see how many people are in as it stands right now. So give me 1 second here. The only person that we have in, his name is Trace, who was the MVP.
Buzz-O-Matic.
Oh, it's Buzz. Okay. So Buzz-O-Matic, who was the MVP of our show yesterday, and Jeremy, enter him in the race, and he also did that. Oh, yeah. Buzz-O-Matic here for a good time. Buzz, I'll look at, he got a jersey yesterday on the show, so I have to be able to sit down and confirm. He's actually going to take number 74 with Buzz-O-Matic on the back. And guess what? This one's rolling in from Buzz-O-Matic. Bang! What is up, Buzz-O-Matic? You want to shout out here on the Raiders Report? Spam Buzz-O-Matic. Right now, we'll give you some shout outs here. Let's go to my guy, Taino, with Raiders Report tatted on him. Josh. Oh, sorry, I realized that this one was for him. Who's to blame for game management decisions? You or Matt Sheldon, your director of football research and strategy? I don't even know if McDaniels was probably here, he'd probably say, I don't even know we had a director of football research and strategy. At the end of the day, it falls on Josh McDaniels. He's your head coach. And the way that I look at this is, for anybody out there that's a parent, right? If you're a parent out there and your kid's effing up in school, obviously they have a mind of their own. But guess what? You still are responsible. That's what a head coach is in the NFL. You are still responsible. Is everything your fault? No. Are things out of your control? Of course. But at the end of the day, you are partly responsible. That's how it goes. All right, I'm going to refresh my phone yet again. See if we got any more entries here for our 50-50 raffle. And so far, it might just be a race with Trace with, hey, if that happens, it happens. Man, we got 1,400 people here tuned in right now live to the Raiders Report. And for those that do not know, I'm going to be here with Chugs. We're going to be chopping it up. If there's any questions that you may have, please don't be shy. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know how we're doing. Let's vent. Let's talk. And if we don't get any more questions, Chugs and I'll probably hop on out of here and enjoy the rest of our Monday to the best of our ability. Got a big Astros-Rangers game tonight. Really, really curious to see how that one goes. Devin, are you still buying or selling at the deadline? That's the question. I mean, the honest answer is this. When you're as bad as what the Raiders are, you should probably be sellers. However, if I'm Josh McDaniels, can you actually sell? Like, if you start selling even more, I don't know if you're going to have a job next season. And I know that there's a lot of people out there, like I saw the report from Hondo where she was like, 5% chance that Josh McDaniels was fired. But the problem is nobody knows what's actually going to happen with the Raiders. I mean, Hondo said that Brian Hoyer was going to start. Aidan O'Connell started. A few weeks later, he says, guarantee Aidan O'Connell starts. This time, Brian Hoyer starts. Raiders beat reporters, they don't have a look on what's going on with this team, and it's not because they're bad at their job. They're not bad. It's because the Raiders don't share any information. But all the reports have indicated from multiple people like Schefter, Rappaport, Diana Rossini that the Raiders are going to be buyers at the deadline. We'll see how much of a buyer. To me, the one player that it would not surprise me that they trade, obviously Hunter Renfrow is a name. Dan Orlovsky today said that Davante Adams should demand a trade, which, again, that's not fully understanding the entire situation. Davante can make more money being on the Raiders because of the way his contract is structured. The Raiders already paid him for next season. But watch out for Josh Jacobs. If there's an NFL team out there that needs a running back, which there's always a team that could use extra talent, Josh Jacobs is a talented player. But obviously, the running game right now does not exist. And the way that this team looks at RBs, not the restaurant, which I don't even know if you can call it a restaurant, I could see Josh Jacobs being a guy that teams might want to try to move on from. Nicolaz, you in. Nicolaz in the 50-50 raffle. What up, Lionel? We get rid of Derek Carr and get a worse QB when Aaron Rodgers was on the table. I mean, that's one of the most frustrating parts of this whole thing. I was still sit up here, and I will still tell you that moving on from Derek Carr was the right move, which it 120% was the right move. You needed to move on from DC. The problem was you went then from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo. The hope was that Jimmy G would be healthy and be able to execute McDaniels' offense. The problem is the last time you saw Jimmy Garoppolo's arm in 2021 was light years stronger than what it is right now. Garoppolo, I don't know if it was the foot. I don't know if it's just him not being in football shape or what it was. He looks a lot worse than what he did just a few months, maybe a year ago. He's clearly not the guy. And you're right. Davante Adams asked one thing. I want to be included in the conversation of who's going to be the next QB. And you didn't do that. You decided to go with your guy instead of going out and getting Aaron Rodgers, which some people are like, but Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers isn't on that field at MetLife, I don't know if he got hurt. Let's go to Fart Sickles. What a name. I don't even know if I want a picture here. What more does Mark Davis need to see? Shake my head. I don't have that answer for you. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody alive right now has that answer for you. When multiple Raiders players come out and say that they don't agree with what McDaniels is doing, and that when multiple Raiders players tell you that they don't want Josh McDaniels as a head coach, when multiple Raiders players tell you that this locker room does not believe in McDaniels or the coaching, that should be enough in one. That should be enough. Now you got a fan base that's been screaming at the top of their lungs to move on from them. You got the national media making the Raiders a joke because everybody knows that Mark Davis needs to move on. To me, I am starting to wonder, does McDaniels have something on Mark? Which is crazy, and it's sad to even think that, but it has gotten to a point right now where that's where I'm at. Does Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler have dirt on Mark Davis? Because it makes absolutely positively no sense, and I get it. Some people are like, oh, well, Mark Davis doesn't have the money to fire Josh McDaniels. Let me make one thing clear. If you believe that Mark Davis, a billionaire, does not have the money to fire Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, and I've seen reports out there that, Mitch, it's $27 million they're throwing away. He gave $33 million to Jimmy Garoppolo, guaranteed. The money that we're talking about, it doesn't make sense to me. And even if he's still paying John Gruden, he has the money. He is an NFL owner. It's the same people that believe, we don't have enough salary cap space to go sign this guy. Yeah, you do. You can move money around. If Mark Davis wanted to fire Josh McDaniels, he would do it. He would do it. He just doesn't have the stones to do it, or he thinks that this is part of the plan. And that's the other problem. You got a head coach that does not understand football, or you got a owner that doesn't understand football. That's sad, but it's the truth. He doesn't understand. He understands the business. That's why he went to Las Vegas. But he also doesn't understand that you went to Las Vegas, but if you don't get shit together, you're not going to have very good business in Vegas. What up, Jason? Fire the clown, and we need a new owner that gives a crap. It's not. I think Mark Davis gives a crap. I just don't think he knows what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We've seen situations in past where people can care, and people can care about things, but if you don't actually understand what's going on, then it's hard for you to be able to make the right decisions. The other problem is the people that Mark has hired have not made the right decisions. Like, if I'm the owner of the Raiders, I don't need to make the decisions. I don't need to. I just need to be able to run the business. And Mark is making the Raiders more profitable than they have ever have. That's a cold, hard fact. But you need to be able to hire people that make the right decisions for you. And Mark Davis has failed on every single level of that ever since he's been owner. Now, remember, y'all, if you want in our 50-50 Venmo race, $20 to get in, you can scan that QR code right here with your phone or Venmo me and add me as a friend at Mitchell Renz 365. Got a few more people that just joined in here. I got James B., you in. The Great Tuna, you in. And then Tony G., you in. So right now we got 5 people in, which means you'd win $50. And Josh McDaniels just told me he's going to put in 50 of his own. So you would win right now $100. 20 to win 100. So whatever the winning amount comes out to, just add an extra 50 on it. Sound good? Whatever it comes out to, just add an extra 50 on it. 20 to get in. Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win some money. And who knows? Maybe that'll put a little bit of a smile on your face. I know some people are still tuning in for the big announcement that I had. The big announcement, which the video is already out on the Raiders Report. Yeah, we can roll through some of the quotes here. For some of you that missed the show earlier here live, I want to roll through some of the quotes from some Raiders players that I was able to talk to basically since the Raiders and Bears game has been over. So every single quote that you're about to see, it is 100% anonymous. I'm not going to reveal the players' names. If you don't like that, well, you can go talk to Raiders players on your own. But I do have several quotes here from different guys around the locker room. And if there's one thing that I can confirm, Josh McDaniels has lost the Raiders locker room. Let me repeat that. Josh McDaniels has lost the Raiders locker room. Here's one Raiders player on Josh McDaniels. We did everything that we could as a team, but it's been the same thing for 7 weeks now. And it has been the same thing for 7 weeks now. The frustration is growing. Another player told me that we have too much talent to be 3-4, that's for sure. I think the entire nation would agree that we have way too much talent. If you would have told me that we'd be 3-4 with our offense and our defense right now playing it the way that we did, I wouldn't think that there's any chance in hell that we'd be 3-4. It's the worst feeling on offense when the defense calls out your plays and knows what you're running. Chicago did that constantly. The fact that you are hearing a Raiders player on the offensive side of the football flat out tell you that Chicago Bears players were calling out plays. The Chicago Bears, who are reportedly one of the worst coach teams in the NFL, that's what I hear, which they're right, they are. Matt Eberflus is bad, but Mike McDaniels just proved that he is the worst head coach in the NFL, and it's not close right now. It's really not. But you got Chicago Bears defensive players calling out Raiders plays and calling out what the Raiders are going to do before the snap happens. That can't happen in the NFL. That is embarrassing. That's like some pee-wee football type of shit where you run 3 plays. Right now they're running Ask McDaniels, and if you could ask me, I'd ask anybody else to run that offense. Let's go to this one. Been saying it since last season. It's hard to win when you're too damn predictable. So this Raiders player has been on this team now with Josh McDaniels as the head coach for the entire time McDaniels has been there, and he's frustrated as well because he knows that it's just going to be the same thing over and over and over again. This one was, they've been running the same shit for 20 years now, and they're too hard-headed to change. That's why we lose. I'll admit this. I do not know if they are talking about McDaniels and like Dave Ziegler and the entire coaching staff, or if they're talking about Mark Davis, because, again, a lot of these conversations that I had was, hey, obviously tough loss. Talk to me about it to as much as your ability. And, you know, when you talk to these players as much as what you do at times, you build a good friendship. You got to be able to sit there and tell them, hey, man, if there's something that you don't want me to share, I'm not going to share it. And a lot of the quotes that you're seeing here are quotes that I got the okay on, where I couldn't even show some of the other ones that I was given because they were worried that people would know who they were. But, again, I'm not going to get too tied up into it. I don't know if he's referring to Mark Davis and the Raiders over the last 20 years or if it's the Patriots coaching staff and what they have done over the last 20 years. I just want to clarify that. Here's the next one here from an anonymous Raiders player. And this was in regards to me going out and hanging out with them the next time I go out to Las Vegas. And they said, sounds good to me. We have to go in and watch film and listen to the coaches blame us again for the loss. So after that, I'll be good. Essentially, what I said to the player was what I said to everybody yesterday after the Raiders game. Just go home. Go home, hug your wife, hug your girlfriend, hug your husband, hug your kids, hug your mom, hug your dad, hug your grandparents, whoever the important person is in your life. Give them a hug. Tell them you love them. Because I know how frustrating I was at the end of that Raiders game, but I also know, man, you got to go home and you got to do your thing. So what I told that player was, hey, yeah, at least you're off today. You know, you don't have to do anything. And he hit me with, well, actually, we have to go in and listen to the Raiders coaches basically tell us that it's all on you and it's always going to be on you. Let's go to another one here from an anonymous Raiders player. Our offense is too old school and not up to date. If you watch the best offenses in the NFL, like the 49ers and the Eagles and the Dolphins, they all use the entire field and use every player they have and are creative AF, not like us. They have fun playing football. For us, it's just a job. That's heartbreaking to me. I love what I do for work. I take a lot of passion in what I do for work, and I do believe that when you are passionate about what you do, you get better results. I mean, there's a Raiders player flat out telling you that a lot of players in that locker room feel like they're in the NFL playing for the Raiders and they're treating it as a job. And I get it. You need to be able to handle your business like a job, but, man, you're playing in the NFL. You're doing something that a lot of people dream about doing their entire life, and when you head in to practice, like, you don't want to go to the Raiders facility. You don't want to go because you know that, or you feel like that you're wasting your time. That is an unbelievable thing to hear. And I believe if you're having a good time and you're being successful and you're passionate about what you're doing, your results are going to speak for themselves. Right now you have a head coach, and here's the one thing. Anybody that gets upset about these Raiders players speaking up, I am applauding the bravery. I get that they want to be anonymous, but I am applauding the bravery it takes to speak to a YouTube guy that, sure, we've had interactions in the past, but to be able to trust me with that information and that know that I'm not going to say who ends up saying that, that's a big pat on the back to me, but it shows the trust. It also shows how much they are fed up with Josh McDaniels. It just shows how much they are fed up with everything going on inside that Raiders locker room, and they need a platform. Guess what? Any Raiders player that wants to speak out about Josh McDaniels, and I don't have to say anonymous Raider, you let me know, and I'll be happy to run it. Let's go to Steve. Mitch, my wife says hi. What's up, Steve's wife? To you and your wife. Well, unless I have a wife I don't know about, but Alex, my fiance, she says hi too. Anyways, is there any player that has told you anything positive about McDaniels? What's up, Chugs? I mean, there's been players in the past that, yeah, they have told me a lot of positive things about Josh McDaniels, and a lot of times it's the stuff that you see. It's a lot of the stuff that people just come out and say because, I mean, like, let's face it here, right? Raiders players a lot of times have to say what they're being told to say, or you can't say anything negative. But I've sat down with Raiders players off the record that have told me that McDaniels is a good X's and O's coach. I've heard that from multiple players. The problem is X's and O's don't always result in winning football games. All right, y'all, final call here for our Venmo 50-50 raffle, and then after this, Jeremy Chugs and I are going to hop on out of here. If there's any more new Raiders information that happens today, we will be going live again here on the Raiders Report. So don't be afraid. Scan that QR code, $20 Venmo to get in right now. We got a few more people that just got in. So I got Raider Josh in, Christopher L in, Victor Rez in, Jose Delgado in. So right now we are up to winner would get $90 plus 50, 140. 20 to win, 140 right now. And if anybody wants to be my friend, I just saw I got a friend request here. Don't be shy. Add me as a friend on Venmo. It is a lot easier to be able to do this because we do this every single game going forward. It'll be there. Nico, 24-hour live if he gets fired. Yes. I literally told Alex today, my fiance, on my walk to work, I go, hey, babe, just so you know, right? I'm just saying, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if the Raiders fire McDaniels, I will be live for 24 straight hours. I don't know if I'll be at Chugs. I'm not going to make Chugs sit here through that entire thing, but I will be here. And even if it's just me, by myself, I will be here because it's time to go. It's time for McDaniels to go. All right, we just got one more here, Chugs. Got one more here, and it's from Peter. Pia, you in. Winner gets $150 now. 50-50 raffle here on the Raiders Report. Winner gets $150. Nico says, I'll be getting trashed with you. I'll tell you this right now. If you watch my Devontae Adams live stream where Adams talks about on YouTube, that was crazy. That was like 9 hours, and that was a lot of fun. We've had a lot of crazy shows in years past here. I remember Kenyon Drake. I can remember, the 14-hour live stream of me getting my Raiders tattoo. All cool. Nothing compared to the 24-hour live stream when the Raiders fire McDaniels. And I need all y'all to be rallying with me because it's going to be one hell of a rally. For those that don't know, we are about to do a pogo stick race, and winner gets $150. So the people in the race are Peter, Jose, Christopher, Victor, Raider Josh, Tony Gar, Tuna, James, Nico, and then Buzz-O-Matic. Sound good? Sounds good. Coming up here in 3, 2, winner gets $150. Go! And out to an early start here is a very, very neck and neck race. I mean, I'd say right now it's Victor Rez by a pogo. Tuna's in an interesting spot there. Nico Laz always down for a good time. Watch out for Peter there, though. The silent assassin up top with his little blue pogo stick. Victor Rez, I'm telling you this right now. I've done a lot of these races. Delgado's in an interesting spot. So is Raider Josh. But this is neck and neck right now. I'd say Peter's got it just by his shoestrings. A little bit of lead here. 23 seconds to go. Winner gets $150. Is it going to be Tony G? Is it going to be the great Tuna? Right now it's 12 seconds to go with Peter and Tuna. James B, but wait, Nico Laz is making a push. Is it going to be Nico Laz? Is it going to be Peter? Nico Laz down to the final wire. I think it's going to be the great Tuna. That's Brandon Jasper's first ever win. That is Brandon Jasper's first ever win. Brandon plays this game, obviously. Yeah, look at this. Oh, my. Yeah, Brandon. It's Brandon's first win and like 20-something attempts. Brandon, congratulations to you, my guy. Brandon, can you confirm Pogo? Can you confirm that you just received 150 doll hairs? There's a lot of doll hairs, Brandon. It's a lot of doll hairs. Congratulations to the great Tuna. Congratulations to the great Tuna. All right, y'all, here's what's going to happen. Jeremy Chugs and I are going to head on out of here. Remember, if you want Josh McDaniels to get fired, click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way, if anything ever happens around the silver and black, we can keep you up to date. And hopefully the Rangers beat the Astros today. All right, I got to go. Jeremy's going to...